Hello and welcome to tonight's show.
Hello and welcome to episode 166 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. And this episode is being brought to you by Peter Kwong, who's become our latest Patreon supporter. You too can help support the show, just like Peter. Simply go to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from as little as $1 per month upwards. And every Patreon supporter gets a free On The Bench sticker. All right, let's get on with the show. And hello and welcome to the show. And in the studio, I've got Ian.
G'day, Dave. G'day, guys.
Julian.
Yeah, good morning.
And special return guest, Kevin.
Morning, boys.
Kevin from KLP Publishing. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. So we might as well start with you first up. What do you got on the bench at the moment?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, put me on the spot. Well, unlike a year ago when I was last on, I've actually been trying to get some modelling done and some time at the workbench.
Has it been a year since you were here last time?
Yeah, I think it was last August, so, rounding up.
Okay.
I'm not very good at maths or calendars. But, yeah, look, despite my best efforts to try and get some stuff done at the workbench, it's been a bit of a disaster.
Yeah.
Modelling doldrums.
Might just get you to put that microphone.
Is that it? Is that better?
Well, instead of you moving around, move the mic towards you. You can do that.
Okay,
there you go. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Isn't that better?
Technology.
Technology.
Yeah, technologically. Yeah, so anyway, all of my modelling efforts have been a bit of a disaster. So I'm a bit kind of despondent about that, but, we try.
We do.
It's a hobby that will test you.
So what do you got at the moment that's sitting there?
Well, I have been working for some time on a 32nd scale Hesse-Gale Mustang.
Yep.
Oh, that old classic kit.
Yeah, classic, clunker. Depends how you want to see that. I actually started it for a group build on large scale planes, thinking, I'll just knock this out pretty quickly. and I set myself some limits. I said, well, I'm just going to use what's in the box. But the kit had been sent to me by a friend in the US, and he'd crammed lots and lots of stuff in that box.
Yeah.
Oh, lots of aftermarket.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And I said, well, I'm just going to use that. I'm not going to buy anything else, and I'm just going to, so there was a resin cockpit and all sorts of other stuff. And anyway, I failed to get it done by the group build deadline, and you could have bet money on that, but anyway. I thought I'll change the rules up a little bit, and I'll buy some things for it, and then suddenly it started to get more complicated, and I thought I'm gonna paint the markings on, and then I realised that the machine I was building had the rear attack radar detection antennas on the tail.
You're doing a Pacific War one.
It's not, but it's just a little round loopy things with two antennas on each side of the fin.
Oh, right, yep.
There's a name for it, I forgot what it is. Anyway,
Right.
So I had to rob a photo etch part from the Tamiya kit, and by the time I realised I needed this part, the build was already 3/4 done, so I'm gouging out the fin and gluing this, anyway, it's a nightmare. And then, to top it all up, I get through all that, I'm thinking, I'm pretty happy with all that, and I go to paint the markings on, and I end up putting the upper national insignia on the wrong wing.
Ouch.
You know what, I just went, right, where's the hammer? Where is, I'm just putting this under the wheel of the car and backing over it. I don't know. Anyway, so, I thought, no, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to set it aside, and I'm just going to have a bit of a think about my life choices. And haven't been back to it since, actually. So, the other thing that's on the bench, and I try to limit it to two.
Yep. Two
things. I've got a massive shelf of Doom. I don't know how many kits, probably 20. And I just picked two and I worked through them. The other one is actually a little mini craft 144 scale MD-80, which I'm trying to do in Compass livery. So for those of you who remember that.
Yeah, Compass Airlines.
Yes, Airlines. It's got a bit of a family connection to that one. And that has just been another dog's breakfast. I'm using decals from Hawkeye Models Australia, and they are so thin that the first thing they want to do as soon as they peek off the edge of the backing paper is curl up.
Oh yeah.
And they'll literally curl around the back of the backing paper.
Yep, I've had that. I've had the same experience with
Edward. Edward decals have a habit of curling up on themselves. If
I forgot the company. I had a Focke-Wulf that I bought some aftermarket decals for, and it was like that. They would just wrap around the edge of the paper onto the back of it.
Yeah, I couldn't. Anyway, nightmare. So every decal I put on, overcoat with clear coat, and then I would sand away the edges and where it had folded over. And luckily it was so thin that you could barely tell, but you could tell. But of course, then the clear coat I put on starts making the things bubble and wrinkle.
Oh, so it's actually attacking the ink on the decal.
Yeah, because I'll use Tamiya X22 with Mr. Colour leveling thinner. And it turns out leveling thinner was what was attacking the clear film. So again,
Getting too hot for it.
Yeah. I've had that, dragon models. I've had it sort of affect them, but not actually do much to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing that one time, and I'm going, I need to be a bit careful with this stuff sometimes. Yeah. So I'll often start off easy with some lighter coats, and then just chill out, grab a coffee,
make a barrier,
and then just keep on building it up rather than all at once.
Yeah, you got to
all at once.
Make a barrier.
A bad idea.
And once you got the barrier on there, then you can start putting heavier coats on.
Well, Kevin, you do know that Legos are a legitimate hobby now.
Oh, all I would do is step on them. Seriously. Have you seen that meme of Godzilla and the Lego factory? Yeah, that'd be me.
Yep.
Mate, I haven't screwed up a Bandai kit earlier this year, so
jeez,
I am a champion. So anyway, the decals on the MD-80 ended up looking like the surface of a pizza.
Oh no,
drive me crazy. And so the tiny little 1mm thick gold stripe that separates the bottom of the fuselage colour from the white at the top.
Yep.
Was the first thing I tried to add, and they just folded up. Tiny little 1mm. There's no way on earth that
you'd mask that.
Well, I couldn't, because it goes directly over the top of the wing root, like no clearance, nowhere to put masking tape.
Oh right.
So now I'm still waiting 3 weeks and counting for some 1mm gold decal stripes from Germany to arrive, so I can continue that and. But I think the universe is trying to tell me something.
Yeah, Legos.
Yeah, exactly. Stamp collecting, butterfly chasing.
These are very ambitious builds, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that is my thing. Like I do like I do like to, peg the thing high and go for it.
Maybe you just need a palette cleanser, something that's easy and simple.
I thought the Bandai Star Wars kit would be that.
One of these, mate.
And yeah.
I wouldn't actually say the Bandai kits are that easy, because they're not designed to go together the way we put them together.
No,
with the paint.
They're not, and especially the thing about a Bandai kit, and the Star Wars ones are the only ones I've really had any experience with. But you've got to do them lockstep. Don't try and skip ahead. Don't try and outsmart the instructions or think that you know better. And one I did last year, I did that, and I left a piece out, thinking I could glue it in later. No. I had to hack the back of the thing off so I could get this part inside again. So that was one episode. This latest one, because the one thing that I don't like about Bandai kits is the decals. I think they're
not decals, they're stickers, really, aren't they?
Well, they provide both.
Oh, do they?
Some kits provide both.
Oh, okay.
Not all of them.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And the water slide stuff is, in my opinion, it's too thick.
Yeah.
It's not that well printed, and too much carrier film. So in my instance, I was actually trying to get a cockpit console decal in place, and it was not conforming, and I thought I'll get the hairdryer out. That's my standby trick for dealing with and you can see where this went. Yeah. Bandai plastic, I don't know, it's not made on this planet. Whatever it is, there's something weird about it.
It is weird.
And so I've got the hairdryer out and look down and it's all deformed. Like within 5 minutes.
Oh.
Or the part just deformed.
Oh.
I mean, that's
heartbreaking.
I got the decal down, so I was happy with that. But the part looked like a pretzel, so...
Yeah, well, it's down. It's now part of the plastic.
Melted right in there along with the plastic. But, so because I was building that at the start of this year, because it was a surprise birthday gift from a guest we had staying with us. A Christmas present it was. I thought, I'll build it while he's here. He's with us for a month. I'll build it while he's there. Anyway, ruined it. Had to sneak off in the middle of the night and buy a new kit. Pretend it never happened. So I've got another box of that kit missing just that one part that I put it anyway. I've had to do that on kits before.
Yeah, I had to do that with me Lanchester.
Yeah.
When I lost the rear suspension components.
So my wife looks at me and says, "Why do you do this hobby?
Why do you put yourself through this?
What is this about?" Yeah. Anyway, and
Ian, so what have you been up to?
Oh, not much, honestly. I've really got to get back on the bench. It's getting pretty sad. But I did pick up during the week. Copper State Models is now doing a new range of kits, and they're doing motorcycles.
Ooh.
Very early motorcycles.
Like 1910, 1920s.
Around that. And they do it in two scales,
Yep.
135th and 132nd.
Right.
And so far they got their first kit out, which I picked up, which is the Triumph Model H, which was first bought out in 1915, and I think I went to about 1923. 3D printed, 5 or 6 parts. It is, as Julian said, it is insane, the level of printing. Like, it's even got brake lines and fuel lines, and like these things are probably thinner than a strand of hair.
Even the spokes are ridiculous.
The spokes are like super ultra thin, and it's just a magic looking little kit.
I'm intrigued how you're the only way I can see you painting it is there's going to be no airbrushing. It's all going to be...
It'll be airbrushing and a lot of hand painting.
A lot of hand painting.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to get those spokes done? Oh, my God.
Very carefully.
But it's a master in... what 3D printing can do, isn't it?
Oh, it's just there is not one bit like I've got the kit out and I've got photos online that I looked online of the actual motorcycle, and it's identical. There's I couldn't find anything that was different or
missing
or everything was there. It's even got like a little wire that goes to the brake light.
Yeah.
I need to take a photo of that next to like a ballpoint pen or something, because that would blow some minds.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty specky.
It's like the spokes alone are just ridiculously small and thin. Like, I don't know how it holds itself together.
Yeah, it's insane, I admit. But
so like having seen like what's in the box, it's kind of like you got like the rear wheel and all the various sort of things that attach to it. So it's not a kit where it's like a lot of bicycle or motorbike kits where like, oh, here's the wheels, you got to glue them on separately, and here's some photo etch for.
Yeah, you got 3 main components. You got
things.
you got the rear wheel with the gearbox housing, and then you got your frame with the motor and tank, and then you got your front section, front wheel, guard.
Yeah, but from what I saw about it, like part of like sort of the rear frame is attached to the rear wheel already.
Correct.
And all the rear light, brake light and a few other bits and pieces.
It's only about 5 or 6 pieces in the whole thing. But
that's really the only way you can do that, though, because if
that's
they were
right.
separate pieces, they'd just be so fragile.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't be able to
I mean, it'd be like trying to glue together a series of hairs to create a bicycle, It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The decals are impressive too.
The decals are quite nice.
Yeah.
So when did that kit come out, Ian?
I think it's been out for maybe a couple of months now.
Yeah, okay, so it's pretty new.
Yeah.
Should have gone for the 132nd.
No, because this will go. All I'm going to do now is try and wait, because guaranteed Copper State's going to be bringing out a British World War I dispatch rider.
Yeah, okay.
So when I get my dispatch rider, then I can build it, because the reason I bought this is going on the base with me Lanchester.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to have that motorcycle with the Lanchester on one base.
Copper State Model's doing some really interesting
I know.
stuff.
I got their Earnhardt the other week too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's a beast. That's a beast, that German armoured car. That is so big. It's massive. Absolutely massive. It's like, yeah. And then they're bringing out the Groford or whatever it is, the horse-drawn pillbox.
Oh, yes.
That's coming out very shortly. But all the stuff they're bringing out now, the 3D printed interiors for the Lanchester is out now.
Jeez.
Exterior bits for Lanchester. They've got detail sets now for the French armoured car, and they've just got Copper State's just gone crazy now with detail sets, 3D printed and photo etched detail sets for their 135th scale World War I armoured cars, which makes me happy.
They're certainly cornered the market, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually considering maybe spending a few $100 and doing an order direct in the next few weeks and just buy up what I want.
Did you end up getting that Russian one? The one with the weird rear-facing cannon and then forward-facing machine guns that only operate on.
The Russo Basalt, whatever it was. Yeah, I've got that one.
Was it that one? I can't.
That's the
remember.
only Russian. Well, they brought out 2 Russian kits. They've brought out Lanchester in Russian markings, which I haven't got because I've already got a Lanchester. I don't need 2 Lanchesters. And then they've brought out the Russo Basalt, I think it's called, Russian armoured car.
Right.
I'm trying to think what else. Because I haven't heard anything more. Because remember, was it last year they were testing the waters to see if anyone wanted to do a 135th scale ZAR tank?
Oh, yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, my God.
I'll put my hand up for that.
That's ridiculous.
No,
because
it's
that'd
not.
be huge in 135th scale. That would be absolutely... There we go. The Gruson Fahrpanzer.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a cool looking thing.
And the detail, and they've now got sets for horses for the guy on the limber. Couple of guys, they've got detail sets for the interior. They've got ammunition out for it.
I expect to see that thing in like a fantasy or something.
What was that
steampunk or
big
whatever.
German one you were talking about? That
The
one
Earnhardt,
there?
yeah.
The Earnhardt,
The
yeah.
EV/4 model 1917.
It's interesting looking one, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Well,
That looks like something Studio Ghibli had come up with.
I agree. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, that's it. The Russian. Is that the one you're talking about, Julian?
No, not that
that's-
one. It may not be here.
No.
wow.
Yeah. So what it is, it's got like a rear-facing cannon that can only like rotate in like a 45-degree arc or something.
It could be on their list.
And then it's got 2 liquid-cooled MGs mounted at the opposite end, and they only sort of they can't fire forward. They can only swing in like weird arcs on the sides. It's very odd looking thing.
Wouldn't surprise me if I had a list somewhere. I can't remember where I put it though, but it was that I managed to find on all their up and coming projects, and there was some really, really cool stuff.
Oh.
So yes, I'm a bit of a fanboy when it comes to copper state models.
Oh, the Putilov.
Putilov, yeah, that's not out yet. I think that's the future.
Garford Putilov armoured car. Yeah, that's a weird thing.
And something else, 128 scale is a bit of an odd scale as well that they do, I've got to say.
Yeah, 128's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, anyway. Julian, what do you got happening on the bench at the moment?
Oh, it's my bench is looking like a car assembly plant at the moment.
You're right in your cars at the moment, aren't you?
Good on you.
Yeah, I've still got the Galant there, and it's sitting in the corner with some paper towels over it so it doesn't accumulate dust. I still got the only sort of like main thing to do on it next is paint the chrome.
Right.
And I need to find an acrylic clear to put over the chrome so I don't rub it off on my fingers like last time. And then I've started 3 kits.
3
since like as soon as like Model Expo, well even before Model Expo finished.
Yeah.
Like I sort of went home on the first or second day and I was like, yeah, I feel like building things.
Yeah.
So I went home and I cracked open 3 kits. So I got the Hasegawa Lamborghini Miura. I've got that one. I'm not expecting to finish anytime soon because that's got like all these photo edge grill type things that I have to assemble. It looks cool, but it's a lot. That photo edge will be some work. The second one is Miata MX-5 type thing, the Unos Roadster by Tamiya.
Right.
And I've bought some aftermarket modifications to make the headlights pop up because the kit doesn't normally have them and just has them down. So I've had to cut those out, and then and the aftermarket popped up headlights. They just sort of they're like, oh, here's what they look like. Here, you figure out how to mount them. And so I've sort of been. That's what I spent last night doing. I made up some like styrene little blocks with a angled cut on the top of it for it to stick to. Because I can't just sort of blank it off and then stick the headlight on top because that's not how they look.
Yeah.
You need to sort of be able to see down into the cavity around them kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I was figuring out last night. And then the third one is the out of production Tamiya Giulia Sprint Alfa Romeo.
Right.
Yeah. And that one, like, I had plenty of fun, like, cleaning up the body on all of these kits. But that one, I primed it, and then I had to sort of go back and sort of do some sanding and more cleanup type work because it's got like a very distinctive sort of not panel line, but where the body suddenly angles.
Yeah.
And that runs along the side of it, and you know that once the thing is shiny and glossy, that if that line isn't perfectly straight all along the side there, you're going to be like, oh, that's a flaw. That's a huge flaw. Yeah. So that's where and so that kit, because it's a rare kit, like I kind of feel obligated to really sort of push myself with it to make sure that, because it's not like I can just go and buy another one. That's not possible. So it has a full engine in it. I'm debating as to whether I should actually like detail that properly, or I should just glue it all up so that you can see the engine.
Have a curbside or
yep. Because like so the engine, it's the twin spark motor, so it's a 4-cylinder motor,
right,
with 8 spark plug leads.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I really be bothered like making up 8 leads that go to only 4 cylinders?
It'd be interesting, actually. That'd be an interesting thing to look at. Yeah, no, I'd do it.
yeah, you do it. Yeah, you're not the one doing it, man. It was,
mate. I'd do it. I remember years and years and years ago. I got an old monogram 65 Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
And turned it into a Shelby GT350 R race version, which meant I had to scratch build the front, because they removed the front bumper and put this fiberglass scoop in.
Yeah.
So I had to sculpt that, open the boot, put the fuel tank in the boot, put the battery in the boot, put the battery leads in, put the fuel. There's like a bowl where it surrounds the fuel cap. Put that on, and then I had to build all the structure on the inside of the boot lid, make me hinges. I went to town. I had a friend of mine who had so much Mustang information, and he just snowballed. And went as far as, I don't know where I found them, but they were the original. Well, they weren't original. They were 124 scale brake drums that actually came apart. You could take the cover off the brake drum that showed the piston and the linings and everything. And I even drilled out 5 little holes and then put in 5 little studs and then drilled out the rim so I could put the rim on and off, and then open up and show the brake drum, and had the fuel lines, brake lines.
Was this a commission?
No, this is something I did for myself.
Where is this?
It's in a million pieces, because at the end of it, I built it all up and thought, this looks great. And then later on in my life, I thought, geez, I can do better. And then pulled it apart. Yeah. So I've got everything in a box, shoved away, stripped completely, paint stripped off it again. So I can, in a later date, redo it to the ultimate detail.
You're a weirdo,
Mustang.
man. You're a weirdo.
But it was fun. I really enjoyed it, like especially doing the inner framing on the boot lid.
Yeah,
it was just
that stuff. I can understand that.
I actually I bought brass and then cut the shape out in brass, glued that in place, because with the inner lining, you got that flat panel that then comes down and then up again.
Yeah,
that butts up against the top, and then I just got styrene. Smaller, and then it's the same shape. Put that inside, bit of putty around there. Once you put undercoat on it, it looked like part of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I'm with Team Ian on that score. I love to do a bit of scratch building and detailing, and I like the challenge. And, I get it.
I do too. And like, I've done spark plug leads before. I've done it once with because a lot of car modelers will have like sort of like dedicated sort of spark plug lead, like aftermarket stuff that you can use. And they'll even do the little plugs that go on the end, the little L-shaped plugs.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's 8 leads into 4 cylinders on a very small motor. Oh, it's a bit of a spaghetti,
Yeah, but it'll look good.
And the distributor is tiny, man. Mm. It's a tiny it's not like like American V8s. It's like that big. Like 10. I don't know what's that, 10 centimeters wide kind of distributor. No, this thing's tiny.
You've just got to decide what your goal is for the build, really. And if it's going to be a detailed build, do it. If it's not, you don't have to.
I'm sort of tossing up which way I'm going to go. Can I really be bothered?
I mean, I nearly gave myself conniptions with the Hasegawa Mustang because it came with a beautiful resin cockpit from Grand Phoenix and nothing for the wheel wells. And the wheel wells on that kit are horrible. They're all wrong. They're all boxed in. Yeah. You know, they don't follow the right contours. They're ridiculous. So they look like toys, and I haven't touched them. So I've got this beautiful resin cockpit, and the wheelbase.
Yeah, but once it's finished and sitting in your cabinet, you're not going to look at the underneath anyway.
Well, if it gets that far, yeah, you're right. If it survives the rest of the journey, but so that, you know, that was that's a bit of a weird thing because normally I would rescribe the whole thing and build out the wheelbase, but for this is kind of, I think it's one of the reasons I'm having trouble with it is I've kind of tried to have a bet each way in terms of how I approach it.
Yes,
and it's just not. I should have gone one way or the other,
right?
Straight out of the box or whole hog.
Yep.
Dave.
Yes.
What are you looking at there?
I was just looking at, just talking about you doing the lines or the...
yes.
Had a quick look at Annie's to see what they had.
He makes some great products.
Lines, yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
I mean, he's the very definition of for modelers, by modelers.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Kind of thing.
And some of it's downloadable and printable for yourself if you've got the printer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can. I've bought some of his stuff for home printing.
Nice.
I haven't done it yet, but yeah.
So I've had a bit of a issue, obviously, as everybody knows, with my ongoing build with that damn Soyuz rocket, the Lunar 1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached a point the other day where I said, that's it, it's enough. It's sucking all my mojo. So I put it all in a box and packed it away.
Cool.
Good move.
Went to an armour modelling club last night and took my Centurion, which has been sitting in the Delphishum, the shelf of doom for a long time now.
Delphishum. I was wondering what the hell is that?
I thought that was something you got from IKEA.
And and because I've been struggling getting that together, so I went there last night and sat down with a couple of really cool guys at the Seam Model Club, and finally figured out what the issue with this AFE club kit was. And
this is the Centurion.
Yeah.
And what is the issue?
Oh, it just needs a bit of super hard elbow grease to sort of get it in there.
Oh, right.
The top deck just wasn't fitting properly. Mm-hmm. So I just cracked it in there and glued it, and that's it. It's done now. So
well done.
I can move forward in that, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, we had the big Model Expo last weekend, but we're going to be talking about later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
The only other big breaking news for me / us is it looks like that New Zealand's off the cards for us this year. And it doesn't give me any pleasure announcing that, but unfortunately I have to spring for a new car, which means it's going to eat into my savings, which just puts New Zealand on the back burner for a year.
Yep.
So unfortunately, I'm gutted that I can't attend. I'll go this year because I was really looking forward to that, and I'd made some commitments to go. But on the upside, it means now we can go to Interclub and South Oz. So because South Oz is only a car ride away, so it's only a one-night hotel room. So yeah, so it's good news and bad news at the same time. And sorry to all our New Zealand listeners, and I know I'd made a commitment, but it's just a bit of a bridge too far financially this year. So that'll be next year on the cards.
Dave, just buy an amphibious vehicle and you can have both.
That's it.
It's true.
That's
very true.
Yeah, someone get yourself a
just
duck.
Google Maps New Zealand on the.
Look, the thing with New Zealand, I mean, the flights are fairly cheap. It's about $800, but by the time you hire a car, and it would be, and as Ian said, you just don't go for a weekend. If you're going to go for a week.
No, we're going to go. We're going to go for a week.
So there's the 5, 6 nights, 7 nights accommodation. So it all sort of adds up. But we'll be better planned and prepared, I think, next year. And I'll get a little fun set up so we can go and play over there. It'll be cool, and hopefully it'll be in time for Qatare's new announcement. So
new announcement.
Well, they're bound to have another announcement by then. So
well, they've got what? So far, I know of 4 kits Qatare's doing.
Yeah.
Well, they've got 2 out already.
Yeah.
The Spitfire Mark 1 mid, and they're bringing out the Spitfire Mark 1 early with the flat canopy and the 2-bladed prop, and they're bringing out a Mark 5.
Yeah, and they've just released or the box artist has released the box art for that.
For the 5.
Yeah, over the weekend.
I'd like to see the sprues because I'd be curious to see what wings you get.
Don't know.
Because I would love them to do a Mark 5 with a C wing.
I don't know.
Mark 5C, because then you could do the Aussie ones.
True. All right,
They look good with the big Volks filter hanging out off the front too.
A tropical version.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick break and have hear a word from our major sponsor, SMS Paints, and then we'll be back very shortly.
Hi, I'm Scott, the creator and owner of the Scale Modeler Supply, Australia's largest manufacturer of hobby paints. Our premium airbrush-ready acrylic lacquer paints are designed specifically for use on plastics, with a comprehensive range covering all popular modelling subjects including military, aircraft, rail, auto, sci-fi and more. And not only that, but we also have a wide selection of essential hobby tools and now, Infinite Colour, our new range of water-based paints for miniatures. So to check out our range and to find your closest retailer, please visit our website at scalemodeler.com.au. So when quality matters, choose SMS Paints.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Let's have a quick look at what's in the mailbag. Not a huge amount this time round, but still some important questions that are coming in. Busby Dow writes in, "Hey guys, my name is Dow Busby. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been in Nashville, Tennessee, beautiful part of the world down there. I've been listening to your show for a couple of years and have written in once before. I am dealing with a situation that I hope you can help me with. As you can see from the attached pictures, I'm in the decal stage of my Tamiya F35 build. The problem is that I accidentally combined decals from several different marking options.
Oh.
I didn't realise what I'd done until the decals sat on the model for 2 or 3 days. The decals do not have any clear coat on them, but a couple of layers of LP9 are below them. I tried Microsol Micro Set to soften the decals to make them easy to remove. While I was able to remove most of the decals, they left behind what I believe is a glue. That glue is what I cannot get to budge. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Keep up the good work, guys." That's from Dow. And there's the pictures that he's showing of the residue that he's got left on there. And you can see like on the RAM panels there by the looks of it.
Ooh.
Any thoughts, guys?
Well, his challenge will be finding something that removes the residue, but not the paint. I mean, you get the residue off easily enough, but, you know.
Yeah, something that's not going to chew into the paint.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
see, I would just go in there and just go at it until the paint's removed, and then just repaint
start
it
again.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to repaint the whole thing.
No, just the sections where you've done.
Just spot prime and repaint that area.
Actually, when you really expand the picture, Dave, it actually looks like pretty decent weathering.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
So micro scratches and
I hear so many different things about Tamiya.
There must be some, like maybe a white spirit or something that's not too bitey.
I'd try one
because we got this stuff in Australia. What's it called? Goo Gone or something.
Yeah,
and it's a.
No, you don't want to put that on there.
I would use
that stuff eats plastic.
Yeah, I would use the citrus version.
The citrus version. Yeah.
Dissolve it.
I remember, that stuff eats plastic for real. There's like a plastic window at my workplace, and I put some on there, and it's no longer clear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It just ate into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Dow, that's the only thing we can suggest is I think Julian's idea is perhaps the best is just to light sand back and respray.
Get the finest sandpaper you can find. Get warm, soapy water.
Yeah, that's the trick to do it, yeah.
I've used WD-40 before to remove sticky residue. That works really well.
And then how do you get rid of the oily residue from the WD-40?
Well...
then you have to use soapy water.
I've only used it to remove the sticky residue from masking canopies. Right. So I've never, it actually leaves a lovely little shine on the plastic afterwards. So it actually makes it... enhances the glass effect, but I've not used it over a painted surface. I can tell you that it's harmless on acrylic paints, but it will do a bit of damage to enamels.
You could try that and then just use soapy warm water to wash off the WD-40 afterwards.
It's silicone based, so I don't know what takes it off, but
you definitely don't want to. You don't want to have silicone on your plastic when you're painting because you're just going to end up with fish eyes everywhere.
Well, you'll never get the paint on it.
Yeah, it'll never stick.
Yeah, that's my suggestion. Don't be afraid to go back to plastic. It's not the end of the world. You can paint it back over without anyone being able to tell.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually it for the mailbag, believe it or not.
Wow.
Hang on. Did I do this one or not? No, that's something else. That's fine. If you want to write in to us, you can. Simply send an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. And we're happy to receive any emails that you have. I must just point out that Andy Raunch just sent in a couple of photos when he was on his trip travelling around the US, and he had a look at a submarine, which was, where is it? He went to the Manitowoc Maritime Museum?
Manitowoc.
Yeah, which had the USS Cobia, I'm assuming. Anyway, it's a US World War II sub that operated out of Fremantle, Western Australia, which was quite a major US operational base during World War II.
Yes.
Punching submarines, supporting submarines that were sort of working up into the Pacific. So that was really cool to get that. So yeah, shoot us an email. More than happy to have a read. And if you've got any problems or issues, we're happy to sort of address them.
Yep.
Cool. I think we'll have another very short break, and then we'll come back and see
what's new in the modelling world.
Yes, I'll be back very, very shortly.
Hey everyone, it's Chris at Inside the Armour Publications. I'd like to tell you about what I've got going on at ITA pubs right now. First, I've got a huge restock from Tetra models, including the Coyote TSV, Jackal 2 and M1278 Heavy Guns Carrier PE sets. The Akagi PE set for the 1700 Hasegawa kit is back in stock. I've got new stuff coming from Wingsy kits, including a restock of their ever popular BF109s. And also I've still got plenty of copies of Models for Ukraine Volume 2. Please do buy that if you would like to help with humanitarian aid for Ukraine. In addition, I've also got the F4, 148 and 172nd decal sets for 13th TFS at Udon Air Force Base in the late 60s, which are fantastic for your 172nd or 148 Phantoms. So head on over to InsideTheArmour.com or check out ITA discounts on eBay to find out more about these great products and how you can get your hands on them.
All right, we have some news from the Falcon. The Falcon writes in, "Hi Dave, Ian and Julian. Let's start off with some aircraft news. Italy's 2023 catalogue released at the beginning of the year featured a new tool, 32 scale Macchi MC202. There was only one box art at the time, but now Italy have given us a lot more information about the kit. It will have a fully detailed engine and removable cowling panels, a fret for photo etch, 3D decals for the instrument panels. How can you do 3D decals? Yeah, that's those. Cartograph decals with 8 marking options and a sheet of smoke ring decals.
Oh,
no. Not in 32nd scale.
What's smoke ring decals?
Oh, so they look like they're painted onion rings over the whole plane.
What?
Just like round circles. That was their
they
camouflage.
look like clouds. They look like someone's, like a child has drawn clouds with a spray can.
You haven't seen those before, Dave?
No.
The Italians had some interesting paint jobs.
I've airbrushed them on the 21st century 32nd scale Macchi 202.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun. I think I'll probably use the decals next time. But
Here you go, Dave. Like that.
Yeah, like that.
That. Yes. Okay, I get that.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. He goes on, the CAD renders look very nice, and Little Airy seemed to have captured the lines of the
Folgo
extremely well. It was a little surprising to see that the airframe was not riveted, but that might please some people. Little Airy say the model will be available in the first weeks of August. Kevin, seeing you're a large-scale dude, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, although current speculation on pricing is a little scary, but yeah, we'll see. I think I've seen people quote closing in on $200.
Okay. Jeez, that's getting pretty pricey. Isn't
You know, that's speculative. I think Sprue Brothers might have it on pre-order now, but pre-order prices don't mean anything.
No.
It all changes.
See,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's normal Italeri quality, it's a scary number. But if it, and since it's all been released, sort of as CAD rendered images, it's pretty confidence inspiring, I think.
Yeah, and the CAD does look really, really good, and it looks really, really detailed.
Yeah.
So if they come out with at the quality level you'd hope for, then it's probably
be worth the dollars.
Yeah. And I don't expect it'll be as expensive as all that. I know, for example, the Infinity Models Val it's not here in Australia yet, but speculative prices around the 240, so similar to the Great Wall Hobbies P40, which I think you got, Ian.
Yes.
Did you buy that? Yeah.
Yep.
So, but obviously, the Great Wall Hobbies P40 is a different kettle of fish as a kit.
Oh, it's just a stunning kit.
Closer to being worth the money. But if the Italeri Mackie comes out at close to that price, 230 to 240 Australian dollars, I would probably be happy with that. Too much more than that, and I'd be...
Second thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, second thoughts. Right. So we'll see.
They're all pricing themselves off of Tamiya's 30-second scale kits.
Yeah, and look, the price of everything's gone up over the last 2 years, 3 years anyway. We all know that, and prices are only going in one direction, and it's the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Well, it's up, but we can't do anything about that. So it's across the board.
But I mean, what I mean is so Tamiya, very good quality 30-second scale kits, prop fighters, $200, and then Italeri coming out with this is sort of like, wow. Yes, it's in the same price category. Maybe it won't have the same level of quality, but is anyone else going to do a Mackie 202 in that scale to that level? No. So, deal with it.
Well, the surprise really is that there's been 2 other kits so far of that aircraft in 30-second scale.
Yeah, but what's the quality of those?
Well, one was the 21st century screw together kit, which actually was pretty decent. Some of the best kit decals I've ever used came out of that kit. Yeah, wow. Fantastic. And the model itself, turns out okay. The other one was the Pacific Coast Models one, which is...
God, I've dealt with one of their kits before.
Yeah, pretty agricultural.
I still have nightmares over that Focke-Wulf TA152H. Oh, God.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I think Italeri is well within their rights to charge $200.
Yeah. And look, those of us who like that plane and want to build it in that scale are looking forward to this kit, basically. So
yeah.
Well, Italeri is saying the model will be available in the first weeks of August. So that's not too far off now, gents. Moving forward, AMP models have shown more renders of their forthcoming 172nd scale Northrop M2 F3 lifting body. Woohoo! I'm excited for this one. It is not in my area of interest, says the Falcon, but it's in my area of interest. And I'm not exactly sure, but looks like the machine in which astronaut Steve Austin had his life-changing experience.
Does that mean it's going to cost $6 million?
No. Micromedia have shown CAD renders of a few things that they are working on. Apparently a 148 scale Junkers F13.
Ooh.
Seems like a good choice of subject, and plenty of users and a lot of scope for further now, variants.
Kev, didn't Bobby Gibbs have one of those? For his airline?
I have no idea. Possibly.
He had that, didn't he have that, what was it, the Papua New Guinea Airlines? And I think they had I'm pretty sure they had an F-13.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow. Okay.
It's such a cool looking little plane.
It is, isn't it?
I love the front windows. They're like just two little circles.
It's got this weird kind of transitional look to it, doesn't it?
All you have to do is just paint some eyeballs on it. It'd be something like out of that Cars movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Sort of looks like a flying barn.
Yeah, with the corrugated sides and stuff. Yeah, I love it.
It does.
You've got to Google an image of that thing, Dave.
Yeah, what's that? A 32nd scale Breeder Pensuti B1. Never even heard of that.
Well, apparently this is I think it's being done by Micromedia as well, is it?
It's a Micromedia kit.
It's the weirdest looking thing.
It is. Let's see, have a quick look online and see what it is.
It looks like it's flown down a laneway that was too narrow.
No, it looks like from the Wacky Races, one of those aircraft.
Yeah. So where's the rest of it?
It looks like someone's cut the wings off.
Yeah,
so
it's flown down a laneway that's too narrow for it.
Yeah.
Like Keystone Cops.
So it's a triplane, obviously, and
it's very trying plane.
Yes.
It's got like a
It's like someone tried to draw a Fokker triplane from memory.
yes.
It does not look like a
And
real
they,
aircraft.
and they were 4 years old at the time.
Yeah, exactly 4 years old.
That's right.
It's even got like childlike wheels on it. I like it.
It just looks that way because it's got wide track wheels.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's just very
Well,
weird.
The Falcon says this one's a very odd choice. It looks like a tin plate toy version of an aeroplane, something you'd pull along on a string.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think he's quite right there.
But it's good. I love the quirky, weird stuff, and I like it.
Well, I don't know about the quirky, weird stuff, but geez, I mean,
Well, you got to say that about Micromere. They definitely bring out the weird stuff. They bring the weird to the table.
Yeah, I know, but geez. Well, not only that, so here's the next one, which is another weirdo. And in semi-second scale, they're going to be doing a. I'm going to try to.
Oh, do you want me to turn?
Yes, please.
Dial et Bacalan DB10, which it looks something.
Do you want
is
to
that
try and
it?
explain for the listeners what that is, gentlemen?
That's a weird looking thing, isn't it?
It's like they've started off with building an aeroplane of one dimension and then gone to really thin wings.
Looks like a flying water tank.
Yeah.
So it's a monoplane.
It's a bomber?
It's a twin engine monoplane.
Yep.
Right, but the space between the two engines has been bridged and looks like a gigantic wing section.
Yep. And the cockpit is like a bathtub sitting on top of the
A bathtub.
of
Yeah, no,
the
he's right. It doesn't look like
fuselage.
It looks like they took like the cockpit from like a different plane and just grafted it on top.
Look, I got to say that it excites me that there are model companies out there that are willing to sort of push the envelope with weird and unusual or unheard of aircraft. And it sure as heck beats, another Spitfire, another, Focke-Wulf 190.
Messerschmitt
Yeah.
109.
And
We're all seeing them.
And it makes for a much more sort of exciting sort of world because we're seeing these things that are coming out.
And sure, like you see these kits at a model show, you're like, what the hell is that? And
Exactly
you walk
right.
run over there,
Exactly right. And as you walk past, it grabs your interest or, like that straight away. And you go, what is that?
Well, think about the context of this, though. Like, I guess all of us in the room would consider ourselves aviation buffs of a sort, yeah?
Yeah.
So we'd know a fair bit about aircraft.
Yeah.
Who would expect that a model kit company trying to make money would actually put out a model kit of something you'd never even heard of as an aviation buff? I mean, that's out there.
Yeah. I love it.
So anyway, the Falcon writes, how would you describe that one? Well, we just tried, so you can only assume that after hearing that no one could possibly build an uglier airplane than the Blackburn, the boys at Dial et Backland responded, hold my absinthe.
Yeah, they must have had a fair bit of absinthe to get into that.
The thing looks like it runs on it.
Yeah.
The news from Infinity Models isn't good.
No.
The 132nd scale B5N2 Kate will not go ahead. In fact, the project, which is about 50% complete, is for sale.
Well, I can update you on that. Apparently, the entire company plans to cease production.
Infinity Models?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're packing it in.
Oh,
Well,
they
you
do
heard
some
it
great
here.
detail sets.
Wow.
Yeah, they've. This news comes from somebody who purports to know the HPH/Infinity guys personally.
Yeah.
And is a personal friend and
Yeah.
has reported that they've decided to chuck it in.
Any particular reason, or?
It's just not working.
Wow.
That's a shame, isn't it? Because they've
Yeah.
done some. I've got some of their detail sets for their ships, and
Yeah.
they are amazing.
Yeah,
They
they
throw
do good
everything
stuff.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Who are you thinking of, though, Ian? I don't think it's the same company.
Infinity kits.
Infinity Models. So this is the injection molded
Yeah.
line of the HPH models.
Isn't there also an
resin stuff.
Infinity that does like detail sets?
Ships and stuff, maybe?
For
I don't
ships?
know. I think it's a different company, though.
Oh, right. Okay. There could
Yeah,
be two
yeah.
Infinities. Okay. No.
So this is the company that put out the 32nd
Yeah.
scale Vampires
Mhm.
and the 32nd scale Helldiver.
right.
So
So it's probably a different Infinity.
I think it must
Yeah.
be, but yeah, they've
Because the
decided-
Infinity I was thinking of, they're the ones from, is it Korea or somewhere? And
Yeah, right.
they do all the really nice ship detail
Yeah,
sets.
no, I think these guys are from either Poland or Czech Republic. I forget which.
Right,
Czech
yeah.
Republic, I think. So,
Okay.
yeah, and they were halfway through designing a 32nd scale Kate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's now. Originally,
that would have been a big kit.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The
But,
Kate was a big plane.
But I think that they, and I've said this online and got spanked a little bit for it, but I think that they made some mistakes with the choices of kits that they chose to produce and the order in which they chose to release them. I think they should have gone front foot forward with a Luftwaffe kit. You know, get the runs on the board. They had HPH has a resin ME410 that they easily could have done what they did with the Helldiver, which was take their resin kit and basically turn it into an injection molded kit. They should have done that with the ME410 rather than doing the Helldiver, rather than doing the Vampires, rather than even doing the Val kit. Now, the Val kit is the first release that they've done that I'm actually interested in. So, you know, for me personally, look, it's not my business and it's not my money. So I don't know how they're doing financially or whatever, but, you know, when injection molding is expensive and it takes a while to recoup your money. But if you stick with it long enough and you give the audience what they want, you're probably going to get there, like lots of other companies.
And unfortunately, that's why we see Spitfires and Tiger Tanks and Shermans coming out, because
it's what's popular, what sells.
And you need that to sort of get your first, step on the rung before you can sort of...
It's the same even with my range of ebooks. You know, I've got to try to pick and choose popular subjects that will sell, and the obscure stuff doesn't tend to sell, and it's the same sort of thing.
Well, you see a lot of the smaller companies that have sort of gotten into the plastic injection game, making models, they started small planes, small size kits, and I can only imagine the huge costs in doing a Val,
especially in that scale,
right? And still not knowing if you're gonna.
Yeah, but I agree with Kev. Like, the first thing you don't want to do, like when you start up a new company, is like bring out something like, our first kit release, Westland Pterodactyl. How many of those are you going to sell? I know you sell one because I'd buy it, but because it's just such a weird looking thing. It's like a hang glider that someone's
you need to build some mainstream subjects, and you need to get the ball rolling.
Establish a brand. Establish some expectations for what your kits are going to be like. And I think that the company made a bit of a misstep with the Helldiver because it was a translated resin kit. I haven't built it myself, but I've seen it built enough times. And people say it's basically, if you want to get anywhere with that kit, you've got to look at it as a resin kit in injection molded plastic.
Right.
Oh, really?
You've got to approach it like that. And if you do, you're probably going to be okay with it. But if you're expecting it to be a normal injection molded kit where everything fits and blah, 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 blah,
you're in trouble.
You're probably going to be in trouble. You're probably not going to like it.
Oh, I get you,
So, I think that had they sort of thought a bit more carefully about the business model and the products that they were developing and releasing, I think they could have made a really good go of it. And I believe that overseas, the Val has already sold out in some places. So it's doing quite well. And I intend to get one when it's available here. I sort of don't quite understand why all of a sudden
if they can find someone to sell it to finish it, right? Isn't that what they're doing?
Well, the Val is done. And it's out.
Okay.
It's available to buy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can buy it. The kit's making its way through the distribution channel. The Kate was, I think...
Oh, the Val, I'm getting them mixed up.
Yeah, sorry. Like girls I knew when I was younger. At least most of them were girls. The Kate is, I think, basically finished in CAD or something like that, and they just sort of decided it was going to be... I think they just looked at the numbers and said, look, it's just not worth tooling this thing up. We're going to just...
You're going to lose.
I can only imagine the risks involved in that scale, financial risks.
Absolutely.
All right, so Wingsy Kits have shown early CAD renders of the next project, which is an Archie D3A2 Val dive bomber. Wingsy will release their Val in 72nd and in 48 scale versions.
48? Oh, because you only get the 8 in Hasegawa, I think. Which is not a bad kit for its age, but geez, a new updated one would be awesome.
Subject du jour.
Dorwing say their 148 scale kit of the Republic P47B Thunderbolt is ready to go. If you have any interest in it in P47s, you're going to want one of these because it looks very good.
It does look quite good.
Naval news. Changyu models, I've never heard of them, who are new to me, says the Falcon, also have announced a 1350 scale HMAS Vanguard, which is a World War II fast battleship.
HMS, not HMAS.
I said HMS.
No, you put an A in there, dude.
Did I really?
Yep.
Oh, Freudian slip.
Wishful thinking.
From the look of the CAD renders, there'll be plenty of photo etch for that.
Nice.
I'm sure there would be. Hobby Boss will be releasing their 1/350 scale US Navy battleship BB-61 Iowa in July.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure there's other kits out there. I Love Hobbies, didn't they do...
I Love Kits.
I Love Kits, didn't they do a version of that?
I've got I've got Very Fire.
Very Fire, I'm
Very
thinking
Fire,
of, yes.
I've got the Missouri.
Yes.
Which is a stunning kit.
Military models from Border Models. 1/35th scale Klug Blitz Flak Panzer.
Kugel Blitz.
Yeah, Kugel Blitz.
That's what I said, man. Okay, you read it then. Go on.
No, you said Klug Blitz.
It's a 35th scale Kugel Blitz Flak Panzer 4 Mark 103 Doppelflak 30mm.
Kit contains 2 metal barrels and vehicle stowage items.
There you go.
3 1/35th boxings of the Jagdpanzer 470 brackets A, mid, late, and last.
Yeah, it's a Jagdpanzer.
Kits will have Lincoln length tracks appropriate for the production dates, steel road wheels, metal barrel, and photo etch screens. The kits will come with assorted stowage items, tracks and sacks, spare helmets, and the ubiquitous buckets.
Oh, cool! You got to have the bucket.
Why has it got like steel road wheels?
Because of the weight of the gun that they threw in the Jagdpanzers. They found the first 2 or first 3
No, but in the
road
kit.
wheels.
No. The kit is representing the steel road wheel. It's in no rubber on the road wheels.
Because they found when they had the original wheels on there, because of the weight of the gun, it was actually cracking the road wheels.
I get that,
So
but
they had to change them.
He's saying steel road wheels, meaning the kit has metal part wheels.
Oh,
I don't think so.
no,
Yes,
no.
it is, because it says metal barrel and photo etch screens in the same line.
It's what it says, but is it what it means?
Yeah.
No, that'd be what it means.
We'll find out.
We'll find out from Border Models, won't we?
Oh, no,
I know the seagull. Right? I know what he means.
Mini Art will release another variant of their 1/24th scale German tractor, the D8506, and this time it's got a roof. IBG models have shown renders of their 72nd scale BTR-E4 Ukrainian APC with slat armour. The slat armour will be provided as photo etch. Hopefully IBG won't use the super thin brass that is so common these days, otherwise keeping everything straight will be a real challenge. ICM have shown CAD renders of their announced 1/35th scale Kozak 2 Ukrainian MRAP. Nothing much to say other than we know it's still being worked on. Vespid Model's first 1/35th scale kit is progressing well. They have shown renders of their German Eagle 4 utility vehicle and things look good. There will be 2 boxings initially, the standard and the deluxe. The deluxe boxing will contain a full set of 3D printed sagged tyres, and the standard boxing won't. There you go. AMG have announced a 1/72nd scale World War I era Colossal wagon.
Colossal?
Early version. For those who don't know what the
Colossal
wagon is, the clue's in the name. It's a big German tank. Is that the one that we were looking at under Copper State Models, or a different one?
No, it's a different one.
Okay, all right. Gecko models seem to have a bit of a fascination for Vietnam at the moment. A while back they announced a few figure sets of Vietnamese farmers, children and buffaloes in various combinations. This week sees Gecko announce 2 new Vietnam-era kits. There's going to be a 1/35th scale Saigon shuttle tricar with passenger and driver. That's from the 60s and 70s. What Gecko can't say, but I can, is that the vehicle is actually a Lambretta Lambro 500. The other kit is a US military 8-foot storage container set in 1/35th scale. FX have shown box art for the forthcoming 1/35th scale Ferret Scout Car Mark II. It shows a Ferret in Berlin parked in front of what I presume is the Brandenburg Gate. I guess this means we won't have long to wait before the kit is on the market, and I'm pretty keen to get that. I've already built one. No, my dad used to be in the British Army, and he drove ferrets and also dingoes and all that. So I'll be pretty keen to get my hands on one of these.
Oh, yeah.
I Love Kits have 2 new kits hitting the market in July. There's a 1/35th scale M53 self-propelled howitzer and a 1/35th scale M1013 with an M2042A1 ground-launched missile cruise missile transporter ejector launcher.
Erector launcher.
It's so funny to see Kevin. He's sort of like keeps blinking at all the ridiculously long what do you call them, like serial number style naming terminology for all these land vehicles.
It's like reading the barcode off the back of your Blu-ray machine or something.
But here's the thing. So armour dudes out there are sort of knowing exactly what I'm sort of trying to say. So from Hobby Boss in July comes a 1/35th scale German Iguana PSB-2-14 mil Leopard 2 based bridging tank. Right. Moving on to the rumour file. Last time it was mentioned that the 1/32nd scale Delatwine D520 French World War II fighter was in the works by an unknown manufacturer. At the time, I had some suspicions, but I kept it to myself. However, I did write down some names on a piece of paper and sealed that paper in a plain white envelope. So, if you can wait just a moment, I will open this envelope. It says, geez, he's getting very dramatic, isn't he, the Falcon?
Yeah.
Okay.
More of a screenplay than an email.
Written on the paper are the following 2 names: Dora Wings and ICM Models. The day after the last On the Bench episode was released, Dora Wings announced that they were working on the 1/32nd scale D520. It feels so good to be right, says the Falcon. Yeah. That's all for this fortnight.
Good on him.
Jeez, I gotta say.
Hey, it was a good one.
It was. What else is news in the model?
I think in August, I think it's around August, Copper State Models is going to be releasing the US Marine Corps Scout car.
Right.
In 1/35th scale, which will be another one on my list.
Yep.
Should be looking forward
At
to.
this point, you're just the Copper State Models correspondent, aren't you?
I am. I love the company. I reckon they do some wonderful
And now we
products.
cross to Ian from the factory floor of Copper State Models.
All the way in Latvia.
Do you have any of their
illegally
aircraft kits?
trespassing?
Sorry, Kev.
Do you have any of their aircraft kits, or is it all
No,
just the armour?
Just
Okay.
the armour
Yeah,
kits. Mind you, I wouldn't mind getting their Newport with the Aussie markings.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't got any of them either, but apparently they're almost as good as the Wingnut Wing stuff now. So,
yeah. Oh, they're I've built one kit. Hey,
Well, while we're on,
absolute ball building it. So, yeah.
while we're on the subject of what's new, and we've got Kevin here from KLP Publishing, perhaps you could use this time to let us know what's happening.
what's happening with KLP Publishing? It's been a bit of a slow year, actually, for the business, mainly due to me being distracted by all kinds of other life things happening, so it hasn't been as productive as I'd hoped. I was looking the other day at what we've done, and we've actually put out 7 books in the last financial year so far, so that's not too bad.
That's
but
pretty good.
I was aiming for 10, and I've only done 2 so far this year, so that's a bit down on productivity levels. So not much I could do about that, but unfortunately, that means there's been a corresponding sort of a down trend in how the business is going as well. So, but we have just launched. There it is, an end of financial year sale.
20% off.
20% off. Everything in your shopping
Considering
cart.
everything is already so well priced, it's just
Well, price ridiculous.
giving it away.
It's almost for free. It's that cheap.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, and you're bringing out I just noticed,
What?
the false D3A in 32nd scale.
Yeah, that's the book I'm currently working on. So there's 3 builds in that book.
Nice.
And the third build is a conversion back to a plain D3 from an A.
Ooh.
Yeah, so working on that now. That's quite a lot of work going into that. But I actually, you guys might be able to answer this because you guys have been you guys leave the house more than I do. Do other countries overseas have an end of financial year? Or is that something that's sort of weirdly Australian? Because when I was
really know.
When I was putting together the sale, I thought, make a big deal of this end of financial year sale. But 90% of my customer base is actually
Overseas.
north of the border. Yeah. So
Well,
I
I
thought,
do
does that actually
know
make sense to them?
when I was
question,
in Rome back in January, They
have end of financial century, don't they?
No. They have all their clothing shops have like 50% off for like all the month of January.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're into fashion, it's a time to go to Rome.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't speak for the other European countries I went through. I don't know. I don't know. It depends on. Yeah, no, I don't really know. I mean, because they have the Black Saturday sale in the US, which has sort of crept into our market now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily for me, everyone ignored the end of financial year stuff and just saw sale, so it's actually been going pretty well. I can't complain about the response; it's been really good. But after I launched it, I thought I'm not sure if I've just confused
it must be
everybody.
weird. Like if you're in a country that doesn't have that sort of convention, it's like, well,
what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like it would almost look like you're using any excuse for a sale kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
The Friday 2:30 sale.
I dropped my food on the floor sale.
So here's the thing. So we're looking at building Noto's Lancer R in 48 scale, which is 243-page ebook done by.
Oh, you're all looking at me now. So
I can never pronounce his last name.
I can't.
Yeah, I can, but I have to do it slowly.
Sure.
And I sound like I've been eating too much Vegemite when I try, but we're going to have a go. It's Wojtkiewicz.
Chuck Wojtkiewicz.
Wojtkiewicz, yeah.
And
sorry, Chuck.
He's a cartoon artist, isn't he?
He's an illustrator, yeah.
He's done work
he
for
does
some
fantastic
of
stuff.
Yeah, he's done like works for like Marvel as well.
Yeah, Marvel, and I think DC as well. He's done some storyboarding stuff. And
he's pretty well known. And I've seen some, like, he used to post a lot on the early days of Hyperscale.
Yep.
And it was an absolute ball just watching his progress on a build, because he'd always put his little cartoons in.
Yeah,
right. Which was cool, and the amount of detail the guy goes to.
Yeah, so we've included a lot of his illustrations in the book.
Oh, cool.
So that's obviously one of his illustrations on the cover.
And just value for money, and I just can't get over this. So, 243-page ebook on building that aircraft. It's 16 Australian dollars. So if you're in the US, it's probably only going to cost you about
$10.
It's about $1.80, I think, in US.
Yeah. If you're in the UK or Europe, it's probably going to cost you €8 or £8. And on top of that, it's not a dead book, because you do updates to your ebooks if there's any mistakes or updates for no extra cost.
Absolutely. And that's become quite a feature of our business model, actually, which I never expected. I thought, well, the technology allows it, so I'm going to allow for it to happen. Never really expected to make that much of it. But almost, I would say, every one of our books has been updated multiple times. Sometimes it's just fixing a few typos, and sometimes it's whole new sections. Just recently, a guy in Belgium supplied a couple of new photos I hadn't seen of the Race 80 Spitfire.
Right.
And Peter Castle made an 18th scale
Yep, I got that
model
book.
of that. Yeah.
So a great book.
So he knows what I'm talking about, and there's now the newest version of that book has 2 new photos of the actual aircraft.
I haven't looked at that book for a while. I have to have another look at it.
So, and all you have to do is go and download a new copy for free, because you've already paid for it, and you'll have the updated copy, which I've
done a few times with some of the books I've got off you.
Yeah, and that's all you need to do. There's no extra fees or charges. All you have to do is to have an account on the website, because the books are too large to email to anybody. So you need to have an account, log in, download them from your account.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people are reluctant to create accounts on websites and have another set of passwords, remember, and all of that. But in our case, or my case, there's a lot of utility involved with that, because that's really the only way you can get these updates. And sometimes the updates just fix a typo and who cares? But sometimes they're really worth downloading because it's new information. So,
and then, as you said, on top of that, you've got 20% off by using the coupon code, which is EOFY sale, all one word, which is another incentive to jump in there. But
absolutely,
if
that's to the end of the month,
at the end of July, so you haven't got very long to go.
End of June.
The end of June, sorry, you've got 6 days. So where do people go to find KLP Publishing, Kevin?
So our website is just at www.klp.com.au. Pretty easy to find, and it's all self-explanatory from there, I hope.
It is. It's very easy.
We're up to, I think we've got 27 titles now. I forget myself.
Something close to that.
Yeah, so there's a lot there now.
There is a lot there. I'm just quickly trying to find out which where they all are.
Shop.
Of course. I've got to press the wrong button.
I thought I'd hide it there, Dave. in shop.
You'll need to get back to the website and design it so it's got a nice big red ring around it.
Call it Dave's shop.
Yeah, it's a big red arrow that points. You just have
us
Dave written
modelers
in
have
there.
been conditioned from
Dave.
years of internet use to only look at things that have got a red circle around it.
Ah, yes.
So you've got you've taken you got the saber there. You can do building large scale sci-fi and fantasy models. There's a 1/32 scale bird dog. Of course, we're just talking about
The Lancer.
the Lancer, which is the MiG-21.
Yep.
Another person's language. Building British Phantoms Volume 1 and 2. As well as that, there's also the Airfix F6F5 Hellcat, the Airfix Buccaneer in 48 scale, Spitfire Race 80. What else we got down there? Building the Ardo 2, 3, 4 in 32nd scale, Hasegawa F190D 9 in 32nd scale. And I should just say, just don't be put off by the scales, because these are fantastic reference books, even if you're building 1/72 scale or 48. So certainly go along and have a look there. And there's a couple of other ones there. There's the Kitty Hawk, the 60G Pave Hawk, which is fantastic, and the
Uhu Starfighters.
Yep.
219s.
Lots there. That's only page
Felix
one.
That's only page one.
But I mean, I'm open to any suggestions people have got about preferred subjects they'd like to see me cover. It's I know this time last year we talked about potentially, what I could do to expand into away from my sort of meat and potatoes, which is 32nd scale aircraft. And there's a few in there that are get away from that a little bit. But honestly, I've got enough material coming through just in that niche that I kind of don't need to get away from it too much.
Just specialise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about potentially getting into armour and so on, and I do have some people that I've been talking to about that, but I sort of... I'd almost rather not do that in a way, because I feel really... I don't want to use the word comfortable, because comfortable sounds lazy, but I know my market with 32nd scale stuff, and aircraft generally, so 48 scale stuff as well. I've shied away a little bit from the 76 scale stuff because as a non-76 scale model, I've always seen 76 scale stuff as not really needing that much help, in terms of them not being necessarily complex builds that require a lot of guidance.
Yep.
But if I had feedback from 72nd scale modelers that made a lie of that, then, I'd be out there investigating that too. So, but there's a lot more coming.
Cool.
In the pipeline, yeah.
Awesome.
And you've got a subscription so that people can subscribe to find out what's coming up as well?
Yeah. There's
a blog there
somewhere. If you scroll down a little bit, you can just enter your email address and hit the subscribe button, and then whenever I post in the blog about what's happening or whenever there's a new book release, you'll get emailed. So yeah, that's
very
pretty
cool.
Straightforward.
Very cool.
I'm not an expert marketer, but at least that works.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. All right, let's have a quick break, and we'll. I want to come back and have a chat about Expo this year. And poor Ian didn't go, but the rest of us were there, so we can talk, and you can just sit and smile, Ian.
No, we'll just sit there and listen. Yeah.
All right, we'll be back very shortly. Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars, or figures, the Fine Scale Modeler magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeler, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeler, go to www.finescale.com. Okay, and we're back, and in the last segment we're going to be having a chat about Melbourne Model Expo 2023 that we all attended, except for poor old Ian, that we all attended last weekend, and want to get everybody's thoughts on how well the show went. First of all, we need to acknowledge that there's somebody around the table who got a first.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Oh, well done.
I put the Mazda Cosmo in, and it won.
Well
I wasn't actually expecting it to win. I just needed
especially in aircraft.
Nothing I could make would win in aircraft. I know I've tried. You know, I've put my best foot forward. You know, and it's not quite there. You know,
but your car was stunning. It really was, and it certainly deserved its first place.
I guess so, because I did. But you know, going into it, I was like, I need something to get in for the weekend, and what have I got? Oh, that's right, I've got that thing, and I've had for almost a year, because I think I finished it just after Expo.
Yeah.
Last year, and so I was like, I'll grab that, throw that in, and then when I got there, and every other model was already on the table, I thought, I might be in with a chance. Top 3, probably. Because you can never really tell until
you can't tell.
What the judges see and what you see are very, very different things. And then I ended up with the first, and people were looking at it, and it's like, oh, okay, well that's nice.
I came over the commendation for submarine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well done.
Yeah, I was pretty chuffed with that. But I got to say,
there were some good ones on that table.
Yeah, there was, and I want to have a sort of overall look at sort of a post report of the show. So it was a 40th anniversary of the Model Expo, and for those who entered a model, you got a show bag almost. You got a 40th anniversary coffee cup, which I thought was unexpected and brilliant. Not only that, our good friend Scott from SMS Paints donated a bottle of paint of your choice from the big box that was there. So you got a bottle of paint as well.
Orange for the win.
got a couple of SMS stickers as well as a lovely tote bag to sort of carry around, and for any swag that you bought, you could sort of...
I lost my bag.
No, I know who's got it.
Oh, really?
Yes, Christian's got it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it's not lost, it's there. So
okay.
Talk to Christian. And the other really pleasing thing to see was that the tablecloths are all black this year, moving away from that terrible blue that they had for a couple of years running.
Yeah, blue's a terrible colour to display models on.
Blue. Don't look at me.
You are a product of the 90s modelling era.
I'm a product of reading the early fine scale model magazine.
Yeah.
Everything had a blue black.
What do you mean the early fine scale modeler issues were in black and white? How would you even know that they were blue?
Well, as a pretend professional, I have to say they're right, Anne. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pretend professional.
But it worked really well. So if you were going around taking, photos of the models on there, the black background of that lighting really worked well, I thought. So I was very impressed with that. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
And the blue lights were gone too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did notice the lack of that.
Yeah, but you know what? They took the blue lights away, but didn't replace them with anything else, so the whole thing was much more dull. Like, the lighting was even worse overall.
Yeah. And that's, unfortunately, that's beyond...
it is, yeah.
Beyond their control, the organisers, because it's
just a venue.
It's a venue, yeah. It's a venue thing, unfortunately.
I mean, it created a great mood, so if you want to have a bit of a dance with somebody, you could do that. But, yeah, for seeing the models, I did struggle a bit.
And this is the second year in a row now where you've been required to select your own category to enter your kit. And while it's a great idea, the lack of scrutiny is when you're coming through the door, I think presents a bit of a problem, unfortunately, because there were two tables that I noticed where there were the wrong kits on the person that entered had selected the wrong category, unfortunately. Because there's no scrutiny, if you do it wrong, well, that's it. That's your tough luck.
Well, I got scrutinied, pardon the phrase.
Did you really?
But the poor guy got lost and ended up having to find it myself anyway. But
is that
was
directed to the right table, or is that actually entering it into the right category? So there's two different
directed
things.
To the right table. Yeah,
okay, so that's different. So,
okay. So it's more of a chaperone.
Yes.
So before, you would have someone look at your model and go, okay, well, that goes in this category.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore.
No.
So now, if you put it in the wrong category, it's on you.
Yeah, I just asked, where do the winners go?
And you want to go elsewhere.
Elsewhere, yeah.
So that you can win over there.
Well, I didn't get anything because they didn't have the wooden spoon award this year, so nothing for me. Buggers.
And it's unfortunate because there was a really good-looking kit, and it was a prop. and it was unfortunately on pre-1950 prop-driven aircraft, and it was a post-1950 aircraft. And obviously the guy had got it wrong and put it in the wrong category. And also under large-scale aircraft, which is for 135th scale.
132nd.
Or 132nd and above, I beg your pardon. The guy had read that as large scale, and so he entered his two B-17 172nd scale aircraft into that category.
Yeah, I saw those.
And I think just by having because
I'm pretty sure those were 48 scale.
No, the B-17s were definitely 172nd.
Yeah, they were
scale.
72nd.
Yep.
And I also saw a 32nd scale Mustang in one of the 48 scale tables.
Yeah.
As well.
So I think, and excuse me, I mean, it might be the mistake of the people reading the category. They might have trouble reading. You don't know. It might be a whole host of reasons. But just having the scrutineer there, I think, would just help that and make the experience for those particular people, a lot more enjoyable.
I think you'd have to deduce whether or not the people whether it was really them putting it in the wrong category or whether they just didn't find the right table. Let's say they were the first one there and there were other models on the table, so they had nothing to
But they had
go
chaperones there to help you put it on the right table. So, which was a good thing.
It was, but I mean the guy that I had couldn't find the table at first either, so we were both a bit lost for a while. But we don't know whether necessarily those models that were on the wrong table were really in the wrong category or just at the wrong table.
And I don't mean a scrutineer there to check every individual one, but I mean a scrutineer there to, if you ask a question, hey, I'm not really sure if this is the right category I'm entering it in.
I think the system they used to have, which I don't think they do anymore, they used to put a little coloured dot on your entry card to show somebody that it was in the wrong category, and someone would then later come along and move it. I think that was a good system where there's a form of redress and recovery for that kind of mistake.
Yes.
Right? So it wasn't, all your eggs weren't in the one basket of when you show up and plonk the model down and that's it, that's game over. There was at least a chance to get it right after the fact and prior to judging happening, which I think is probably all they really need to do, and then the system's pretty much going to operate effectively.
The amount of kits I thought were down on last year?
I believe they were. It was up around the 750, 740, 750 mark, something like that. I'm not really sure of the official numbers, but a little bit down. I think it's the numbers of models being entered is definitely being affected by the fact that opening day is now a work day.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
But it used to be opening day was bumping day used to be a Friday anyway.
So now you do it the Thursday night.
Yes.
Like for people like me or my mate Eric, who I picked up from the airport on the Saturday morning. The Friday morning. That Thursday night bump in is a non-starter for us.
Yeah.
Like we can't do that. So we need to show up the first day. Now if I was, for example, working all day that day, then the reality is I probably couldn't have entered a model.
Yeah.
And if I couldn't have entered a model, then I probably would have only gone for the one day, which probably would have been the Sunday. Now, the irony of that is they probably would have got more money out of me that way.
Yeah.
But I would have been less in attendance and less participatory.
And they did the judging on the Friday night, not a Saturday night this time around as well?
I think traditionally they've always done it on the first night of the opening, the first night.
Right.
I think it's just, it used to be a Saturday and now it's a Friday.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's changed in terms of timing. I did suggest that it probably should. I've suggested that, because Peter White is a friend of mine who's one of the incumbents for the new committee. Yep. So we had a bit of a chat over the weekend about some of the logistics and all of that sort of stuff, and he whispered to me that probably they're looking at doing away with the $5 first model thing that gets you the weekend pass. And he sort of mentioned an idea of $15 for your first model, and I said, mate, you do that and you're shooting yourselves in the foot. You're shooting yourselves in both feet. And he sort of acknowledged that. He said it's up for discussion, nothing's set in stone. But I think that they're struggling for the money, so obviously they need to pay a lot of big bills to run Expo. Yeah. So we know that. Yeah. Maybe if they change the name to Sexpo, they might get a bit more people coming in to look at different models. I don't know, but my suggestion was, and I'll run this by you guys
too. These aren't the models you were looking for.
Yeah. Not really. Just as much plastic in them, though.
Wow.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
You can tell he's a dad.
Absolutely. I use Botox instead of putty. Anyway, stop derailing me, you boys.
Sure.
My idea was if they need to raise more cash to pay for big bills like the venue and insurance and that sort of stuff, and they would be huge bills, rather than penalise your clientele, which are modelers coming to participate in the competition and enter all their models and make up the numbers and do all the stuff, which, if you jump it from $5 for your first model and you get a weekend pass to $15 for the same privilege, that is going to disincentivise a lot of people. And it's get a lot of people up in arms saying, well, that's not fair, So I think that what they should do is just institute a flat $5 administration fee for all competitors. So if you enter a model, you get your $5 model, and that gets you your weekend pass, but you pay a $5 admin fee, effectively. And that applies once, and it's across the board, and if you enter 20 models, you've got this $5 admin fee plus whatever you're paying for your models. So for freeloaders like me, who just grab a kit off the shelf and enter it for the weekend so I can get in for the entire weekend for $5, which is what they're actually trying to stop, they automatically get twice as much money out of me. And probably dozens like me who do the same thing. But I'm still paying $10 all up instead of $5, so double the money, but I'm still getting in for less than the cost of a day ticket for a punter. So I still feel that it's worth my time to come across town and enter a model and be there for the weekend.
I think $5 is too cheap for entry, and it's $5 and $2 for every model afterwards.
Well, the thing to do there, though, is you start with an idea like mine, or a better one if you've got it, whatever. This is just a suggestion. I've put it to Pete. And then you just creep it up. The worst thing you can do, like the overarching principle for change management is incrementalism, in my opinion. Make small changes often, and you'll get there with far less hurt than the big change that just rips the Band-Aid off. Now, sometimes you've just got to rip the Band-Aid off. Right? We all know there's situations like that. But in this situation, just revamp the structure of the entry costs, keep your clientele on side, which is modelers, and then next year you make it's a $6 admin fee and a $6 first model and then a $3 second model, right? You just bump it up a little bit over time. Now, if they need a lot more money than that a lot more quickly, well, I'm out of ideas. I'm not, and I don't want to shoot my mouth off and not put my money where it is because I can't really do that. But I, as a punter and as a participant and as a bystander and all this stuff, I have had, ideas about what I see going on and what I think should go on. And that's the extent of it for me, really. But that's just something I'd be happy with.
I get, but this is the thing I don't understand about modelers. Certainly I can't talk for the rest of the place, but every time you hear about the prices going up, people whinge and moan and bitch and everything. But they think nothing of spending $100 plus on a model, and then all the other ancillary costs building that model. And yet, if you talk about entering in a competition, you say, $10 entry or something like that. They go, that's too much. Well, hang on, you've just spent all this time and effort in a model, and you're not willing to pay the price of 2 cappuccinos to enter it for a weekend, as well as getting 3 days entry into that event.
And look, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But that's how people are, though.
Yeah,
I know, but I just don't understand that mentality.
Like if you've got $50 in your pocket, right? And it's like, should I spend this down at the hobby shop, get myself a model, or go out to a shopping centre and then spend half of it on an overpriced lunch? Here's
the thing. It cost me more money to buy lunch on one day than it did to enter my 6 kits and get me weekend or the full 3 days entry.
$16 chicken burger, cough, cough.
And I get they've got no control over that because that's an in-house catering thing.
Exactly.
But I'm just using that as an example. One bottle of drink, Pepsi Max, $6.50 against the entry of a model for $5 and give me access for the whole weekend for less than the cost of a bottle of Diet Coke. Come on.
Look, it's a fair point, and everybody's going to have their reasons for and against, and why not.
Yeah.
Those of us who are on tight budgets, it all matters. I thought about bringing a packed lunch, honestly.
Oh, I actually did bring a packed lunch on one day. Yeah.
And I think that they need to provide somewhere where you can sit and have your packed lunch. But, look, it's easy for us to sit on the sidelines and suggest what they should and shouldn't do. But you'd have to think that if we've thought of it, they've probably thought of it and hopefully investigated it.
Yeah, I know, but they have to be sort of... You need to have feedback from your punters. Otherwise, how are you going to grow and become better and better and better than what you were last year?
Yeah, but also those punters don't necessarily see the full picture. It's like the difference between judging and just looking.
Oh yeah, and judging. I want to get onto that too. I think there was. I think the Friday hurt them with that because the judging was down. The amount of people who put themselves forward to judge was down on what it was last year.
Yeah, well, I did
years before.
Well,
I made a strong
I keep
suggestion.
saying this to everyone who attended the show, but you can't compare to last year. Last year was the first year back from COVID. It's an exception that year. You can't judge it by that year. You have to judge on all the years prior to COVID.
You got a point there.
Yeah. I think that they should seriously think about starting the judging during the afternoon. Well, I know there are punters around and people looking, but I don't think logistically that would be impossible, and it would mean that you'd probably have access to a lot more people who are willing to judge because they're around and don't necessarily want to stay on late into the evening to do it. And it would also...
It is a long day.
Yeah. And
at the end of the day, even though you've had a great time, you want to go home. You want to... It gets a bit much after a while.
Yeah, sensory overload.
Yeah.
I think that there's some pros and cons to this. So one, I think they don't want to do it that way because they don't want people interfering in the judging process, like sort of looking over the shoulder and going, well, what'd you give that? I think it should be this. That kind of thing. And then there's also the fact that at our show, we handle the models, we turn them over, we have a good look. Whereas in a lot of other shows, especially in the States, no one touches the models.
Don't touch the kits.
Right,
you're limited to torches and mirrors on sticks and all that.
Not
sort
even
of
torches. Not allowed to use torches over there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't they? Weren't they always bringing out the torches in the States?
No, they didn't. They didn't when we went.
No. Didn't they change the rule on that? They just say that you're not to do that because we can't provide them for everybody. And then if you're bringing your own, then you automatically have an advantage for that category, which the others don't have.
Exactly.
So I think they've leveled that playing field.
I don't know. In any case, not allowed to handle the models, right? And people would be quite shocked if they saw like some of the handling going on.
I was talking to when we were over in the States. He was at Expo too. Sorry, brain's gone asleep.
Sam Dwyer?
No. He built the P51, 72nd scale P51 with the missing wing section. God almighty. I'm so embarrassed.
You spoke to him as well.
Yeah, I know. I just spoke to him the other day.
Paul
Gloucester.
Paul Gloucester,
yes.
thank you. Yes, he was telling me that he actually judged at a show in America, and he actually went to pick up a model, and everyone was shocked. You're touching someone else's model kit? How dare you?
Yeah.
Well, that's how we do it back home.
The way you've got to think about this, though, and not we, but I think the Expo committee, I would suggest to them that the entire endeavour is just a series of rolling compromises.
Yeah.
And you've got to pick which side of the fence you're going to compromise towards.
Yep.
And I think that you've just got to weigh up the pros and cons of each point and say, well, what are we winning here and what are we gaining and what are we losing?
Yeah.
And where does the balance lie? Now, for me, I understand what you were saying about the judging.
Yeah.
For me, the advantages of doing it during the afternoon outweigh the disadvantages.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't actually get around to finishing my points on that. So yeah, one is people can see the judging process in person, and there's a big difference. It's almost like
So it's not so mysterious.
It's almost like you're involved, but you're not having a say, right? You get to look over the shoulder and see the process as it takes place and go, so that's what they're looking for. That's what's important. That's what's not important. These are the things I hadn't even considered. It gets people involved.
Which is hints and tips.
Like the way you would do it is like you have like a party that goes around the tables and just chips away at it over the course of the day, and then you can have like a little like sign thing next to it saying judging in process, and people go, what's going on over there? And they're much more involved. They see it. There's transparency.
Yep.
You know, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, look, I understand that there are downsides, and Pete did explain some of them to me. But again, it's that balance thing. Everything's going to be a compromise. Nothing's going to be a clear win.
You're definitely going to have to take a loss in order to make some gains.
Exactly right. You're going to have to break a few eggs to make this omelette.
And can I just preface everything we're talking about here is that we're all in agreement that it's the largest show in Victoria each year. And the suggestions we're putting forward is because we're passionate about it and we want to see it grow and become more successful as years move forward. So exactly right. So we're not just pounding the desk because
it's still a well-run show.
Exactly,
and it still
right.
brings lots of modelers and models, and there's nothing fundamentally broken about it. But I think with the new committee coming in, and the committee, is self-professed to wanting to make changes, and I think they do need to because they need to generate more income out of the event so they can pay for the escalating costs.
Yeah.
And some of the challenges around getting volunteer help and things like that. Well, for me, you would potentially solve two problems by just simply changing how you judge, so that I think we can all acknowledge that they've lost the Queen/King's birthday weekend. That's never coming back to them.
Unless they move to a different venue.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's just probably just as unlikely. So let's
Well, weren't there rumours they were going to go back to the old Melbourne showgrounds?
I hope
in
not.
Flemington, because that would stop me going altogether.
It's a wasteland.
That's just bad idea. If they go there, that's for starters, parking, if you can find it, will basically eat into half your budget.
Yeah, you feel like you're renting the entire thing when you pay for parking there.
Yeah.
No, you do. It's ridiculous.
And to get around there, and I remember those old pavilions, they were just so cold. But
remember when Expo was there for that first couple of years?
Yeah.
And we were in this huge kind of concrete bunkerish warehouse down one end, and our section was roped off, and then the rest was just this empty concrete space. That looked.
And they had like a few tables, and they had a few tables out the front for swap and sell.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It was so cold, and it was just a miserable feel. You couldn't stay there too long because the cold seeped up through your shoes. Remember that? It used to, and you couldn't stay there for longer than about a couple of hours because you'd just be
that
cold to the bone.
Not the same anymore. And there's a lot of...
Well, hopefully they burnt it to the ground and built
it
was brand new at the time.
Yeah, I was still shocking that.
I mean,
wasn't that the old produce area where they used to do all the produce shows during the Melbourne show?
Yeah, after the arts and crafts thing burnt down, they built the brand new pavilion,
Yeah, I've seen some other conventions and stuff at that place, even like 10 years ago or something like that now, and different. It's very different to what you describe.
Yeah.
There's those tent things. There's the other building at the back there, and there's the other. Yeah, I don't know what you would call them. Those buildings, various buildings, but anyway, it's not that bad. Right. But the location is terrible.
Oh yeah, Flemington's a shocker, man. Right?
With the what was I going to say? Oh, I've forgotten now. I mean, what you were saying about the new committee coming in, changes and things. Yeah, it's all well and good. We'll have to see how it goes. I don't know. I mean, I'm not pessimistic about Expo. It's still fantastic, and we're lucky to have such an event.
Yeah.
And the people who put the effort in
are all volunteers.
They're all volunteers, and they're all to be applauded. But
absolutely,
everything can be improved upon, and some of the changes can't be incremental.
Yeah, and that's true, but I think they need to think about ways in which they can do things in a chip away fashion. Not everything. Like, for example, if they did change venue, they're forced to or whatever, or found something better. That's a fairly significant change for most modelers who are rusted onto this Sandown experience.
Yes.
And there'll be a lot of models out there who've never been to Expo anywhere else. So, but just going back to what I would suggest they do, I think they should just... If they stick to the current weekend, which is not a public holiday, and they open on the Friday, which is a working day, then push the closing time for model entries to Saturday lunchtime at the earliest, and then judge Saturday afternoon. So you allow for more modelers to enter more models.
Yep.
And they're not so constrained by the work day on the Friday. and then you can access potentially a larger audience of more willing judging pool by doing it in the afternoon, and then letting everybody go home to their families on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because I know there are a lot of people who do hang around and do the judging on the Saturday/Friday night, but there'd be a lot of people who would ordinarily do judging, but don't want to do that.
Well, I would have loved to have done judging this Friday night, except Michael Bublé was playing and Michelle had tickets, so I had to take her to the concert.
And there can be a million reasons like that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
one thing that I think they could probably do is add incentives, or at least like have more of a more aggressive mindset in trying to get people in for the figures and the wargaming and the Gunpla mecha type stuff, the more growing parts of the hobby.
Well,
because they need to get like more of that going on. Otherwise, they're heading towards a big, long, slow death.
Well,
yeah.
It's interesting to talk about the Gunpla and that, because I looked at that quite closely, and they had Gunpla and mecha in the same category, but there were Gunpla mecha out of box, I think it might have been, and I'll just have to open it up and have a look at what the actual which one it was, and Gunpla mecha advanced or something like that. So, and I was talking to a couple of different guys there, and I said, how do you judge Gunpla and mecha? Because it's sort of two slightly different styles. So how do you have them both in the same category? I'm not too sure that it necessarily works.
Well, sadly, I don't know anything enough, or I don't know enough about it.
So you got Gundam mecha models out of box and Gundam or mecha models open. Wouldn't you be better to have Gundam as one category and mecha as another category?
I have no idea.
Because that way, then you've got all your Machine and Krieger stuff, which I saw in that sort of category, were up against Gundam stuff. And to my sense, and I don't know, I'm happy to be corrected in this, I'm not necessarily sure that worked as a category. Because you sort of...
I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean...
I think
because,
it
like,
is.
I know you're thinking of, like... the Machine and Krieger stuff as almost like the World War II.
No. There's also mecha, which is not Gundam.
Yeah.
So what does that include, though, Dave? Because I mean, I'm pretty ignorant about all this stuff. So fill us in.
So Gundam specifically is
the Bandai stuff.
Bandai stuff. They own all of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very sort of rigid style for you. They're like generally robots that are sort of quite angular looking and blah blah blah, and there's a very big difference in appearance compared to the Machine and Krieger stuff, where they almost look like walking tanks. They're very cast steel looking,
organic.
Yeah, rounded shapes and things.
More organic.
But I would say that they're just it's like the difference between aircraft and armor. It's like, yeah, okay, well, the aircraft are aircraft and the armor are armor, but mecha are all just humanoid machines, right?
I would put it more like towards prop-driven aircraft to jets.
But my point was that Julian made an excellent point where we're trying to bring these Gundam guys in, and my point is that by having it mecha and Gundam rolled into the one category, you're not going to bring them in as much as you want to bring them in. I think they demand, just through the strength and the amount of people who are out there building them, it demands its own category just by itself. Gundam.
Yeah, but it's also dictated by how many people they get coming into the door.
I know. But you've got to do. It's a chicken and the egg thing. Do you have the category there first to encourage the people to come in and enter, or do you have the incorrect categories there to capture those people who are just entering it? You see what I'm saying?
So the thing is, like, Gundam models they take a long time to make. They're, say, halfway between a ship model and a armor model.
Oh, I built one, I know.
They take a long time to build, and there's not going to be that many people knocking them out for the show, right, within a given year. So you're never going to have that many on the tables to begin with. So they've got to restrict it. Otherwise, you would end up with 2 models per category sometimes.
But you look at...
And there's nothing sadder than going to a model show and seeing a category with 1 or 2 items in there.
But look at...
Star Wars Bandai kits built by Kevin Futter.
And that was it, was it?
That was it.
Oh,
And I
God.
still came last.
but look at our good mate at Gundam Plus. I mean, he's...
Daryl.
Yeah. I mean, there's a huge market out there. Gundam models is a $4 billion worldwide market. And, you know, military modelling is just a thin slither of that sort of a thing. So they're out there, and they're certainly in Melbourne as model builders.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we're not, when I say we, the royal we, as in us traditional modelers, aren't sort of capturing them and bringing them into
because
our
they're
shows.
still considered as outsiders.
Well, whether they're considered as outsiders or they don't see themselves being in our world or being thing. Because here's the other thing about Gundams as well. You can just slap together a Gundam model and not paint it, put the stickers on they provide, and that's it. And that's it. And they actually enter them in shows or Gundam competitions like that. Our mentality as
Old school modelers.
Scale modelers.
Exactly right. You'd never dream about just slapping together a kit and not putting any paint on it.
Because for us, that's a toy.
I remember the first...
Yeah, whereas for a Gundam builder, that's not. That's it. That's a completed thing.
Yeah. Well, I remember that with the first Musaru. That was my first ever attempt at doing a Gundam build.
Yeah.
My first one and only Gundam build. And the kit was there. I didn't need to paint it. Everything was in its right colours, but to me, that was wrong. I had to paint it. Just something in my DNA that says, no, I've got to put paint on this.
Yeah.
You know who we're missing for this conversation? We really need a local person who builds Gundam who's not a scale model builder to be sitting in here sort of talking to us and telling us exactly what the
Well, I think
Gundam world is in Melbourne.
I think if you wanted to extend this conversation beyond this session, you guys probably should talk to Scott Taylor, because he comes from the gunpla world.
Yeah.
Well, we know Scott very well. He's always chatting to us.
Yeah. So I mean, he's expanded well beyond that. Obviously, he needed to his business, but he's also expanded his modelling endeavours.
Plus, he does
Gunpla.
really cool dinosaur kits too.
Yeah, he does. What I'm saying is, he's come from the gunpla world and performed in that space at a really high level. I think he even went to Tokyo to do the World Championships there, the Gunpla Olympics, whatever they are.
Oh wow!
But he's also now fully versed in quotes our world of the scale modelling and all that. So he knows both sides of the fence now. So he's a good person to talk to say, well, gunpla builders and scale modelers on this other side, how do we get them to be in the same room together as a happy family? What can Model Expo do to attract and incentivise gunpla builders?
And not just the gunpla builders, but also Games Workshop builders as well, because there was not as many as I would have hoped to have seen there on the tables. And
did they have like the game set up at the? Anyone have games set up?
No. They had
They had that previously. They had like a few games running.
They had a vendor there selling a games competition, but they didn't have anybody from the gaming world there with doing a Napoleonics or doing a Warhammer or
because that brings people in too, because people will go, oh, what's this? Then have a look.
Yeah, but from Model Expo's point of view, that's a lot of space to attribute to what may only be 2 people playing for a little while and then stopping.
Well, you've got to start somewhere.
You do.
And
That's
then
true.
Next year you could have two tables. You could end up having a bit of space. You can have maybe 3 tables set up, and the general public can
But
join in.
You know what this always comes back to with Model Expo? And it has
space.
The venue. You're right. It's the space, because I think the show, Model Expo, has been bumping up against the limitations of that venue for a number of years now. So
Well, yes and no, but I mean, when we've sort of all travelled overseas and had a look at shows overseas, and nowhere overseas do you see islands set up like they do at Expo, in which you've got free space in the middle of the tables. The tables are all butted up against each other. Doing that alone would be a more effective use of the space that they have there at Model Expo than having these islands set up.
For the entrance, yeah, I'd agree. But I mean, one of the things that struck me about Expo this year was 2 things, 2 sides of the same coin, really. How dead it was on the Friday, because of the working day.
Yeah.
It was really, I kind of...
They would be running at a massive loss.
I was kind of worried about the event at that point on Friday, and I was there until probably 2:30 or so on the Friday, and it just didn't pick up at all. It was just so dead. Yeah. I thought, this is not looking good. And then, to counterpoint that, Sunday was massive.
It was huge.
Sunday was absolutely packed.
You and I both looked at each other and came across and said exactly the same thing to each other. Yes.
I could not believe, and not only just how many people were there, but how many people were clearly not modelers. They were punters, they were families, kids, people pushing prams, the kind of little kids that you hope
I'd even go
so
far to say that Sunday was even busier than the year before.
Yes, that was the busiest single kind of day I think I've ever seen at Model Expo.
I agree.
At that venue, and I thought, well, that bodes really well and says something. I'm not sure exactly what, but it says something about the way the event is currently structured time-wise. And look, one of the solutions might be you want to get radical, you want to rip the Band-Aid off, go to a 2-day event.
See, that'd upset a lot of people.
It would upset a lot of people, but if you want to, if you want to
traders, I think that goes back to the rusted on thing that you mentioned.
Yeah.
People are used to it being a 3-day event.
Oh, yeah. I'm not suggesting that this would not be a painful thing, but if you want to immediately slash your costs by 30%, there's your answer.
That's true. I think that, if you looked around the tables, there are some categories that are pretty sparse. Like, having come from other shows, like, you think about the tables at Expo and you think about the tables at US Nationals.
Cars were down, trucks were down.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about squishing them in.
Oh, yeah.
They just sprawl them out. They're like, okay, we'll have one category on this table.
Yeah.
And there's 2 models there. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like, throw another category on that table and use the space for something else. Like, there's enough space there that you could have your wargaming. You could have more wargaming in there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, 100%.
You could have all kinds of other sort of activities and things, Even if we never ever go back, as a podcast, right? Just completely cut us out. That's fine. Do something with that space other than just leave it as a half. 75% of this one table is just completely blank. Like, if you actually squished it all up, you'd probably end up with clawing back a third of the space in the venue.
Yeah, I agree with it. And that's what I was saying with having these islands set up. It's something you not see at other shows around the world.
I don't think it's necessarily the island. I mean, like...
But the island thing takes up so much space, you get the empty space in the middle.
Having been at Shizuoka, the tables that were sort of for showing off models, because they didn't have a competition per se there, for showing off models that were all clubs, right? So that the room that was just for clubs was identical to the competition tables at US Nationals. And it was the same setup. You had rows.
Yep.
You had them as rows, and the tables were chalkers. There was rarely any space. You wouldn't even put a tablecloth down because there wouldn't be a need to. They had erected like a whole cascading series of shelves to display all these models because they just didn't have any room for anything. Like some of them will had even like things hanging off of like this big sort of arch type thing that they'd erected over the table. Like, it's so much wasted space at our event.
But you've also got to think about how, if you were to squish everything up like you were suggesting, Dave,
to allow more space for other things is what I'm using as a preface for.
Yep, I do understand that, but you've got to think about that in the context of what we saw on that Sunday, the Sunday when it was so busy and so packed, and a lot of people pushing prams and things. Have you ever been to IKEA in Richmond?
Yeah.
Have you ever been there with a pram?
No,
forget about it. Yeah, well, I mean, I've been pushed around in a pram there a few times. And it is horrible. It is absolutely a nightmare, and it puts you off going to IKEA. I wouldn't want to see a situation where the tables are so close together. Those people, families and things pushing prams and other things around.
And then knocking the models
or feeling like the venue is set up and militates against them. It doesn't, it's not inviting for them. Because I was really kind of encouraged by how many non-modelers were there on the Sunday.
I don't think we need to move the tables necessarily, right? The tables could stay as they are. What I'm concerned about is like the space on the tables is not being used by models.
So optimize the space on the table.
Yeah, I mean, like if you so there were 3 different categories, I think, for 124 scale cars that I was involved with. You could have put all 3 categories on a single table.
Yeah.
Right. The cars. They take if you set it up even like a car park, right? Like a parking lot, you would only use up a quarter of the table or less.
Yep. Yep.
Not that you have to squash them up to that degree. Obviously, you can have some space between them, but you don't need to spread them over 3 tables. That's just spread yourselves out, guys.
But did they have that in the hope that we're going to be more entries in there?
I think so.
And
that's probably the reason.
That's the thing. As an organizer, you don't know how many models you got coming in until you close.
That's not true. You can make estimates. You could be monitoring the number of entries.
Okay, you can base it on previous
year
years,
on year, and go, well, okay, here's 48 scale aircraft. We'll budget this much space for it.
And you could have even more if you opened it up until it's midday the next day. Hint, hint.
Right, and as long as you're doing the budgeting and going, okay, well, there's not that many cars, and they're not that big. Figures, okay, figures are like, they take up 5 by 5 centimeters at max, right? Like, fill up the space, and like if you pack them all in, right, and then you have all that space left over for other things, and you fill that space out too, it's going to feel like a quality show, like with just so much density of
one thing
things to do.
I was going to put something in because I've kept my mouth shut on everything, but I always thought when it comes to figures for competition, those tables should be either higher or the figures should be put on a plinth up at eye level.
Well,
because there's nothing worse than having a site crouch all the way down.
I just get on my knees all the time.
Yeah, which is not right.
I have to get on my tippy toes.
They should be up at a decent height because they're too low. On a table, it's too hard to see a figure. To get and people, they'll say, they'll just go, it's a figure. If they're up higher, they're going to get a better view of it, and you're going to get a lot more people looking at it and admiring the great work that people put in.
Well, our good friends over at the Geeks, they're always bang on about this, how model tables are too low to begin with because, that's 900 mil from the floor to table height. And so for the whole day, you're walking around and you're bending down looking at it rather than having the model up higher. There's a couple of ways around what you can do to fix that. For the figures, you can do what like they do over in Europe, where they have them up on.
Yeah,
they got
like a plinth.
Plinth already manufactured and just pop it on each year. The Geeks are big advocates of having you get little PVC pipes all set to the same height, and you just shove that underneath the table. You're setting it up, so it raises the table up by another, 1 or 2 feet or whatever. And it's pretty easy.
Which would be perfect.
Pretty easy to do. And that way, you have the tables up, and you then remove the risk of inquiring little 4 or 5 year old fingers sort of reaching out and touching it because it's
because figures to kids are toys.
Well, all models to kids are toys.
Yeah.
You then make it easier because, God damn, my back was sore. I mean, yes, I'm old and fat and sort of walking around looking at 800 models sort of bending over is going to sort of play on my back. And, geez, my back was sore at the end of the day because you're doing that. But it's easier for photography.
You're talking about it, though, I can already see the counter-argument. Expo would go, yeah, but then children can't see it. And children make up an X amount of portion of our revenue demographic, blah, 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 right?
They don't make that much of a no. I'd have a look what's happening around the rest of the world and where they're moving forward in regards to having tables up at a decent height. And then...
Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm saying that's what the counter-argument would be.
Well... No, that's fine to have counter arguments, but I don't think it's.
But I think there's especially since that. Which show was it? The one in the Netherlands.
Oh, the one that model challenge.
The one with that was really bang on about figures. They showed the best way to do it, and it's proven. Right. That's how it should be done. That's the ultimate form of how. And there's no argument anymore. Like that's how it is. Like, that's how.
Benchmark.
Like that's the benchmark. It's been proven. That's There's no question about it anymore. It's like, oh, well, you know, well, maybe this or maybe that. And no, they've already done it the best way.
Mm.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it the best way, then you're just not
and
trying.
that show's run by volunteers as well.
Yeah.
So, but look, at the end of the day, what we're trying to sort of push forward, because we want to see the show grow. We want to see it become, continue to be, you know, the premier sort of show in Victoria. And what we're all saying is just suggestions that we believe would help sort of push that forward and push the bar forward. I mean, to move the ball forward, it needs a bit of work, doesn't it? And sometimes you need the coach sort of standing on the side saying, hey, you need to do this a different way, you need to do that a different way. So we're certainly not having a crack at the individuals or the guys who volunteered.
No, they do a great job.
Fantastic job. And it was a great show this year. It was a great show this year. But yeah, these are considerations that we'd sort of like to see.
And this is Australia, where we don't get the same sort of volunteer turnout as you do other countries.
Oh, I disagree. We get the same amount of volunteerism as they do in other countries.
I don't think so. I think in the US they've got an almost like a national culture around community cooperation,
participation.
Yeah, and participation. Like it's almost like they've got like a culture of, you know, you're obligated to get involved. Or over here, it's sort of like you're obligated not to get involved.
All right, you go live in a country town and tell me you're obligated to join the local fire brigade.
That's the fire brigade.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You're talking about volunteerism, and I'm arguing your point. I disagree. I think, if anything, Australia has a higher level of volunteerism than you'll find in other countries.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you on that.
It's a hill over there. Let's
agree to disagree.
Let's set some models on fire and see what happens.
Yeah.
Who's volunteering then?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pushing 2 hours, gents. It's been a fantastic conversation, and it's been great having you here, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, boys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate the shout out and the invite and all that stuff.
Hope breakfast was nice and met your expectations.
Absolutely. I put on a kilo just sitting here.
Ian, any last words?
Enjoy your modelling.
Julian?
Yeah, see ya.
No worries. And Kevin, you got any last words?
Buy more books.
Buy more e-books.
KLP.com.au.
Exactly right.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. We'll be back in a fortnight, and I'm aiming to try and push something different. I don't know what's going to come off yet, so I'll just hold my powder, keep my powder dry, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, adios. Have a great fortnight. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening this week, and don't forget there's a whole host of other fantastic modelling podcasts for you to listen to. Simply go to modelpodcast.com, which is a landing page for all the other fantastic model podcast shows for you to listen to, and there's the links there for all the other shows. Also, if I could ask, while you are downloading us from your favourite podcast app, if you could just give us a 5-star rating. It just helps with the analytics and helps with other people who are looking for a similar show to listen to. My name's Dave. This is On The Bench. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a fortnight.